My name is Jo Gouldy. I'm a graduate student at UC Berkeley in the history department. I work on the history of the British road system. I'm interested in the roads as a social and cultural rather than an economic expansion. And I am in the process of writing a dissertation, a PhD dissertation, and this requires flying all over the world, looking at libraries on different continents, in my case, looking at 18th century, 19th century private records in all sorts of archives. I was doing an internet search on one of the names of an obscure road engineer. Nobody should know about this road engineer except me. And I was having such troubles finding even primary source material on him, even in the libraries, even by the most rigorous of the old methods. And I thought, I wonder what Google knows. So I typed in the name of this obscure road engineer, and up popped this entire volume about his work.
I'm Erin McKean, and I'm the blogger behind the blog Address a Day, and also the blog Dictionary Evangelist. And my day job is that I'm the chief consulting editor for American Dictionaries for Oxford University Press. My blog, Address a Day, is really just that. I post something about a dress or something dress related almost every day. And a lot of the time I talk about writing that's about dresses. So I'll link to a book that talks about dresses. So I'll put in to Google Book Search a couple words at random, one of which is always the word dress, and see what comes up. And it's always surprising what comes up. In fact, I did it today. What I found was a description of the dresses worn at a White House event by Mrs. Ulysses S. Grant, the First Lady. So I thought that was just really interesting. And it's not a book that you can walk into most libraries and pull off the shelf. There are not a lot of copies of this kind of thing.
The standard scholar, looking for all of the resources on the subject, spends a lot of time getting familiar with the interlibrary loan system of the library. But now, instead of continuously submitting these requests to interlibrary loan, I'm on Google Book Search, seeing if there happens to be a digitized copy of the manuscript. I can just look through it. I can do a full text search.
I was reliant on books' indexes, which I know a lot of indexers and they're great, but they can't predict everything that a person is going to want to look up in an index. And indexes can only be so big. So they're constrained by the number of pages devoted to them and by the amount of time the indexer is given to index a book. So with Google Book Search, you can look for things that the indexer didn't think were worth indexing or that they didn't think anybody would want to look up.
There are so many beautiful, rich books that cover this era when London's shape and architecture is changing. And most of these have been digitized now, so you can now go in and see these lithographs upon lithographs and prints upon prints of all of the new streets that are being built, of all of the new churches, the architectural splendor, the shopping arcades. This sort of very specific, honed research is made possible by keyword searching. It's not the scholar's only tool, but it's a new tool of a great deal of agility and precision that scholars didn't used to have, that's suddenly being made new by Google Book Search.
When you scan a book and when you make the contents available for word-by-word searching, you unleash a whole lot of information that was in that book that was just trapped there, that people couldn't get at. They didn't know the book existed, they didn't know it talked about this if it did exist, and it frees people to find connections where they wouldn't find it otherwise. Google Book Search has triggered a lot of book buying for me. Books about the emotional language of Japanese and some dictionaries and some books that I just ran across that had nothing to do with my project that I wanted anyway. They make it so easy. You know, there are lists right there on the right-hand side. You can click through to any number of booksellers and find a copy.
It's also performing a huge service in the name of spreading knowledge, spreading learning, and spreading access. Google Book Search is spreading knowledge and making knowledge infinitely accessible.
I think one of the things that Google Book Search and that all search engines really do well is they if you use them right, you can increase the amount of happy accidents in your life.